Welcome to Mr. Speak English channel. This is the place where stories help you find your voice. Through simple, powerful, and real-life stories, you will improve your English naturally, build stronger vocabulary, and most importantly, grow real confidence. If you learned even a little today, please like this video and share it with someone who wants to improve their English too. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing in front of something powerful, something strong, something capable of breaking almost anything in its path. Now imagine that powerful thing is being held back by something weak. Not a wall, not a cage, not iron chains, just a thin rope. Would you believe it? Because this story begins exactly like that. And by the end of it, you may realize the rope is not around the elephant. It might be around you. One quiet morning, just after sunrise, a man was walking past a traveling circus that had arrived in his town overnight. The air smelled of fresh grass and sawdust. Workers were preparing tents. Animals were being fed. The world was slowly waking up. As he walked along the outer edge of the circus grounds, something unusual caught his attention. There, standing calmly in a long row, were several enormous elephants. They were not inside cages. They were not surrounded by fences. They were not chained to heavy metal posts. Instead, each elephant had one front leg tied to a small wooden peg hammered into the ground. The rope attached to each elephant looked thin, too thin. The man stopped walking. He stared. These animals were massive. Their legs were thicker than tree trunks. Their strength was legendary. An elephant can push over trees. It can carry thousands of pounds. It can break branches without effort. And yet, they were standing there quietly, not pulling, not struggling, not trying, just standing still. The man walked closer. He looked carefully at the rope. It was ordinary. It was not reinforced. It was not strong enough to hold such power. And that is when confusion turned into curiosity. The man found one of the trainers nearby, a middle-aged worker who had clearly spent years around these animals. "Excuse me," the man said, pointing at the elephants. "I don't understand something." The trainer smiled politely. "These elephants are incredibly strong," the man continued. "They could easily break that rope. Why don't they just pull free and walk away?" The trainer looked at the elephants for a moment before answering. "Because," he said calmly, "they believe they can't." The man frowned. The trainer explained. "When these elephants were very young, when they were small and weak, we tied them with the same type of rope. At that age, they tried many times to escape. They pulled hard. They fought. They struggled. But they were too small. They failed. And they tried again. And they failed again. Eventually, they stopped trying." The trainer's voice softened. "They grew up believing that the rope was stronger than they were. And now, even though they are powerful enough to break it instantly, they never test it again." The man stood there silently. The elephants were not trapped by strength. They were trapped by memory, by habit, by belief. As the man continued his walk home, he could not stop thinking about what he had seen. He thought about how powerful those animals had become. He thought about how easy it would be for them to break free. And he wondered something uncomfortable. How many people are standing still because of ropes that are no longer strong? How many dreams have been tied down by something that only exists in memory? You see, the rope was never the true prison. The belief was. And that belief had been built slowly, through repetition, through failure, through disappointment, until it became truth in the elephant's mind. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever stopped trying because you failed once? Or twice? Or many times? Maybe you tried to speak English in front of someone and you made a mistake. Maybe someone corrected your grammar in a way that embarrassed you. Maybe you forgot a word during a conversation. Maybe your pronunciation was not clear. And maybe, after that moment, you decided something silently. I'm not good at speaking. I'll just stay quiet. I understand English, but speaking is not for me. And slowly, just like the elephant, you stopped testing the rope. You stopped trying. Silence became safe. Silence became familiar. Silence became your peg in the ground. Psychologists call this phenomenon learned helplessness. It happens when repeated failure teaches the brain that effort is useless. At first, the brain protects you. It says, "Stop trying. This hurts." But over time, that protection becomes a prison. The brain does not update the information. It does not say, "You are stronger now." It simply repeats old data. You failed before. You will fail again. But here is the important truth. You are not the same person you were when you first failed. You have grown. You have learned. You have practiced. You understand more than you think. But unless you test the rope again, you will never know. Let us imagine something. What if one day, one elephant felt a sudden surge of frustration? What if it leaned forward slightly, just enough to feel tension on the rope? What if it pulled a little harder than usual? And what if the rope snapped instantly? The peg flew out of the ground. The rope fell away. Freedom was never impossible. It was simply untested. And the other elephants, perhaps they would watch. Perhaps they would feel something awaken inside them. Perhaps belief would begin to shift. Because belief is contagious. Fear spreads. But so does courage. Now let's bring this back to you. If you are listening to this podcast, there is a good chance you understand English quite well. You can follow stories. You can read articles. You can watch videos. But speaking, that feels different. Your heart beats faster. Your mind searches for words. Your confidence drops. And maybe you tell yourself, "I am not ready." But what if that is just the rope? What if your belief is based on an old version of you? The beginner you, the nervous you, the first attempt you. You are not that person anymore. You are stronger now. Your vocabulary is bigger. Your understanding is deeper. Your experience is greater. But unless you test your rope again, you will never see how weak it truly is. Breaking the rope does not require perfection. It requires action, small action. One sentence spoken out loud, one question asked, one idea shared. It may feel uncomfortable. Your voice may shake. Your grammar may not be perfect, but nothing catastrophic will happen. No lightning will strike. No crowd will laugh. Most people will simply listen. And if they do not understand you fully, you can try again, because growth is not about being flawless. It is about being willing. Think about a time when you believed you could not do something. Maybe riding a bicycle, maybe driving a car, maybe speaking in public. At first it felt impossible. You failed. You felt embarrassed. But you tried again, and slowly, your ability grew. The only difference between that success and your current hesitation is that you kept testing the rope in one area and stopped testing it in another. The elephant story is not about animals. It is about identity. We often define ourselves by past experiences. I am bad at languages. I am shy. I am not confident. But these are not permanent traits. They are conclusions drawn from limited data. And data can change. The moment you collect new evidence of success, even small success, your belief system begins to update. One successful sentence, one positive interaction, one brave attempt. That is all it takes to begin rewriting your story. Somewhere in your life, there is a rope. It may not be visible. It may not be physical, but it is there, and it is attached to an old belief. The question is not whether you are strong enough. The question is whether you are willing to test it, because the rope will never break on its own. It breaks when you pull. It breaks when you move forward. It breaks when you stop accepting old limits as permanent truth. You do not need perfect English to be confident. You need action. You need repetition. You need courage. And courage grows after action, not before. So tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself, what rope have I stopped testing? What belief about myself is based on old failure? And what small action can I take tomorrow to challenge it? Maybe it is speaking one full sentence in English. Maybe it is recording your voice for 1 minute. Maybe it is asking a question instead of staying silent. Small pulls. That is all it takes. You are not tied by strength. You are tied by belief. And belief can change. The rope is thinner than you think. Thank you for listening to Mr. Speak English channel. If this story made you reflect, write in the comments. What rope are you ready to break? Subscribe for more stories that grow your English and your confidence. And remember, you are stronger than the rope.